to it for the new year. So what do you need to crush your goals and to stay present? If you're interested, I'd be happy to give you some more details, point you to where those details are to be had, and get you enrolled after class. It's $40 for the workshop, and we have 2 other really great workshops coming your way in January, and we'll talk about those after class. Meanwhile, let's get started. Wide knee child's pose to start. We've got 90-minute journey into power happening this morning, so plenty of time to really dig into what those intentions are for the new year moving forward and how we can embody those. Start to build your breath right here. On your inhale, fill up your lungs completely. Notice the pause at the top. And on the exhale, empty your lungs completely, noticing the pause at the bottom. While we're getting settled here, building the breath in volume, both in volume that you can hear and in the volume that of your lungs, I'm going to pass around some assisting cards at the top of your mat. This just lets me know whether or not you are open to hands-on assists. Feel free to flip that over from yes to no and no to yes as many times throughout class as you wish. As you're creating your breath here, really build that volume of the exhale. So it should sound like you're fogging up a mirror intentionally. This is a breath that you can hear, a breath that your neighbor can hear, and maybe a breath that the yogi all the way across the room can hear. And this is going to keep us present today. Something we can keep tuning back into. So take one more full breath here. Inhale completely. Exhale it all the way out. Take your first downward facing dog. You make the movement here that suits what you need. Bend one knee and then the other. You can take your hips side to side. Match your breath here with your movement. So on an inhale, can you feel in your body for where some lift might be available? Good morning, Michelle. Thanks for joining us. And on the exhale, is there somewhere that you can pull in, pull the pit of your belly to your spine? Press down in your hands, press down in your feet, and build the foundation for your practice here. One more breath in together. Exhale it out. Move your feet to your hands. Ragdoll. Pull the pit of your belly all the way to your spine. And there's some movement here happening already. So take a sway side to side. You can take a bind with your hands. Shake your head here, yes and no, end on a yes. And on your next inhale, extended mountain reach all the way for the ceiling. Look up for the ceiling. Hands at heart center. Here is your opportunity to decide for the next 90 minutes how you're showing up for yourself. Maybe there's an intention you want to set here for the new year moving forward. You can set those now, embody that now, be that yogi now. And we'll seal those intentions together with 3 ohms. Big breath in. Inhale, extended mountain. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga, step or hop back. Upward facing dog. downward facing dog. 3 breaths here together. Fill up and empty. 2 more. Fill and empty. Last one, come up to your tippy toes. Bend and hover, feet forward. Halfway lift. Fold. Extended mountain. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. 3 breaths in and out. 2 more, fill up. Empty completely. Last one, come to your tippy toes. Bend and hover, feet to hands, halfway lift. Fold. Extended mountain. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in. Exhale. Yeah, listen for your neighbor's breath and add yours. Last one in. Exhale it out. Feet to your hands. Halfway lift. Fold. Extended mountain. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. You move with your breath. Up dog. Down dog. Yeah, so that pace may be slightly different than your neighbor's, slightly different than what I'm calling, and that's fine. Just let it be with your breath. Last inhale. Exhale it out. Feet to hands. Halfway lift. Fold. Extended mountain. Go up and go back. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in and empty. 2 more together. Fill. Empty out. Lift your heels. Bend your knees. Step or jump forward. Halfway lift. Fold. Chair pose. Sink down. Reach high. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right side warrior 1. Inhale as you rise. Take your gaze up. Chaturanga on your exhale. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left side. Step and reach. Chaturanga on your exhale. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in. Lion's breath out. 2 more like that. Fill up. Empty. Last one. Fill. Empty out. Feet to hands. Half lift. Fold. Chair pose. Sink lower. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Warrior 1. Right side. Come down low in your lunge. Chaturanga. Upward facing. Downward facing dog. Left side. Press your big toe mounds down as you rise. Chaturanga. Up dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in. Clear it out. 2 more in and empty. Last one. Fill. Empty out. Jump forward. Halfway lift. Fold. Chair pose. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Press your feet down. Up dog. Downward facing dog. Right side warrior 1. Embody the warrior. Be strong. Chaturanga. Upward facing. Down dog. Left side. Sink down. Reach high. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in and out. 2 more in and empty. Nice. Inhale. Get rid of it. Feet to hands. Halfway lift. Fold. Chair pose. Fold. Halfway lift. Stay for the pause. Chaturanga. Upward facing. Down dog. Right side warrior one. Receive the pose at the top. Chaturanga. Up dog. Down dog. Left side. Take your gaze all the way up. Shoulders up and back. Chaturanga. Upward facing. Downward facing dog. You've got one more sunbee. Yeah, reorganize your breath here. Last one in. Empty out. Feet to hands. Halfway lift. Fold. Chair pose. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Warrior one, right side. Press your feet down. Chaturanga. Upward facing. Downward dog. Left side. Step and reach. Gaze to the ceiling. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in. Clear it out. Lift your right leg up behind you. Press it past the back of your mat. And right here, find all the length from the top of your leg to the bottom. Lift and spread your toes. Press through your heel. Nice, bend your knee. Open your hip. Stay here or flip your dog. Looks like we're all flipping. Nice. So feet here right on 12 o'clock, parallel to the sides of your mat. 2 more breaths. Can you take your gaze past your fingertips? 1 more. Both hands down, side plank, right side. Press all 4 corners of your right hand down into the mat. Spread your fingertips wide. And then take your attention to the top hand. Reach up, spread your fingertips. You can always take this with a knee down. You've got 2 more breaths. Yeah, you got it. 1 more. Both hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in. Exhale it out. Lift the left leg up behind you. Right here, looking for that length. So rather than just throwing the leg all the way up into the air, we want to press it straight back. Nice. Now flex your foot. Lift and spread your toes. Bend your knee. Open your hip. Stay or flip your dog. This can also be accessed, yes, from sitting on your bottom first and then pressing up. Reach your fingertips all the way to the front of the room. And can they start to reach down, maybe a little bit more toward the floor? There might be a bit of a wheel hiding between your shoulder blades. Can you feel that? 1 more breath. Both hands down, side plank, left arm down. Again, you choose the degree here. So your bottom knee could be down all the way to your top leg lifted. Yeah, so place your bottom knee down into the floor, and that'll give you a little bit of a kickstand reaching back. Yes, just like that. Press down, reach up. 1 more breath. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in. Clear it out. Send your right leg behind you, just like we just did. So find all that length from your glute all the way to your heel. On your exhale, bring it in knee to nose and hover, shoulders over wrists. Send it back on your inhale. Exhale, knee to nose. Send it back. Last time, knee to nose and hover. Squeeze up and in. Step it forward for crescent lunge. So a big lunge here, right? Just like in our warrior ones. Sink low in your hips. Sink so low that you can feel the stretch up the front of your left hip flexor. And only you know how low that is. So get to where you want to be. Reach your fingertips all the way to the ceiling. One more breath to get as tall as you can. Hands to heart center, twist to your right. Left knee can absolutely remain on the floor here. For a lot of us, not only does that help with balance, but it also gives us a little bit more access to the full twist. So use your breath. On the inhales, lengthen. On the exhale, twist a little bit more. 2 more like that. Lengthen. Twist it out. Lengthen. Stay for your twist. Back to crescent lunge. Warrior 2. Stay low in that front knee. Close to 90 degrees. Nice. Now, everyone, take your knee and notice that it's tracking straight over your middle toe. Press out into my hand. Yes, right there. So for a lot of us, we just have to take the knee a little bit more toward the right. Now lift your back arm up to meet the front arm. Nice. One more breath. Extended side angle. Fingertips come down towards your front arch. And you can keep the bend in the knee here to keep the hips nice and low. You've got options here. If there's a bind you want to take, you wrap the top arm around. If you can, stick your fingers in that little crease right at your hip and use that to pull straight back. You got it. Stay low here. And then you can stack your knee right over top of your ankle. One more breath. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in and clear it. Lift your left leg back behind you. Find all the length. On your exhale, bring it in, knee to nose. Send it back. Knee to nose, shoulders over wrists. Send it all the way back. Knee to nose, squeeze in and up. Step it forward, crescent lunge, left side. Now the ball of your back foot is really kind of the rudder of this whole pose. So feel for that you can press down in the big toe mound and the baby toe side of that foot equally. Nice, and then look for maybe even for the heel to be stacked right over the ball of the foot. So bring your toes all the way up here. Yeah, you've got longer legs than you think. So this, bring it right over on top. Yes, now press into my hand. Press your heel back toward the back of your mat. One more breath to lengthen. Hands to heart center, twist to your left. Use your breath here. Inhales to lengthen. Exhale to twist a little more. If your hands are here at heart center, press them in together to expand your chest and upper back. 2 more breaths. Last one in. Twist it out. Crescent lunge. Warrior 2, stay low. Then if that front leg needs a break, go ahead, give it one, and then come right back down. Take a look at your front knee here. Stack it right over top of your ankle. And then look to see that it's tracking right over top of your middle toe. Nice. Stay right here low, your drishti on one point for 2 more breaths. One more. Fill up. Extended side angle. Stay low in your hips. And then right here, if you're taking the bind, go ahead, reach for it. Place your fingertips into that little crease at your hip and pull that back toward the back of your mat. Nice, and you may even start to feel there that left hip stack underneath of the right. One more breath here. Chaturanga on your exhale. Nice work. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in together and out together. Move your feet to your hands. Halfway lift. Fold. Chair pose. Sit down deep. Reach up high. Can you take your gaze here between your fingertips all the way toward the ceiling? Nice. Now sit lower. You know in your body how far down you sit for the twist, so don't wait for it. Last breath to get tall in the sides of your body. Hands to heart center, twist to your right. If there's another version of this you want here, go for it. Side crow, bird of paradise. For my birds, as you're starting to come up, press through your heel. Yeah, flex your foot, drishti on one spot. One more big breath. Exhale it out. On your inhale, come back to chair and fold. Fingers to toes, forward fold. Take your peace fingers, wrap them around your big toes. Take your elbows out to the sides, toward the sides of your mat here, so you can pull down even further. Big or little bend in your knees. Take as much of a bend as you need, though. And you can take even more of a bend in your knee. Whatever feels like, let yourself have this moment where it's a little bit restful. Release your toes. Inhale, chair pose. Sit down, reach high. Hands to heart center, twist to your left. Take on your bird of paradise, your side crow, wherever you want to take this. And then here, if we're staying at heart center, keep your hands pressing in to expand the chest and upper back. You really pull your shoulders together on your back. Nice. You've got 2 more breaths. Breath in. Stay for the twist. Inhale, chair. And fold. Palms to toes, forward fold. Gorilla pose. So here we're going to place the backs of our hands down on the mat and step onto the palms. Take an even bigger bend in your knees here. On your next inhale, keep your hands where they are. Take a mini, halfway lift, lengthen your spine, and then fold down even further. Now allow gravity here to pull both sides of your body and the crown of your head toward the floor. If there's any holding in the back of your neck, let that go. Release your feet, crow pose. Crow, goddess squat, another inversion. You decide where you're going here. We've got crow happening in a lot of different ways. On the back, lovely demonstration here. If you're getting your feet off the floor or keeping your feet on the floor, you're getting the same work. So pull in with your knees towards your center line. Press out with your elbows. Nice. If your heels are on the floor here, press them down. If they're in the air, can we squeeze them together? Very nice. One more breath. Step or hop back, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Big breath in. Exhale it out. And another fill up. Exhale, feet to your hands. Halfway lift, fold. Extended mountain, reach up, look up. Take eagle pose on your right. So right arm comes under, right leg over, have a little seat. Lots of options here with your foot. Toes can stay on the ground. If you want to wrap in a little bit more towards center line, the toes can wrap around the back of your calf. Lift up here, the crown of your head toward the ceiling. On your exhale, drishti stays, switch sides, left arm under, left leg over. And then options here with the arms. If the arm bind isn't quite working out for it this morning, give yourself a big bear hug. I tend to really like this version too because I can press out into my hands and really feel in my body that I'm expanding my chest and upper back with each breath. On your exhale, switch sides. Right arm under, right leg over. Take an even lower seat here so you can pull your thighs in towards center. Now use your center line here to lift from the pelvis all the way to the crown of your head. Nice, we all just got like 3 inches taller. Switch sides, eagle on the left. Sit low, squeeze into your center line. Reinvigorate your breath here. 2 more. Last one. Both feet to the ground. Standing leg raise on your right. We'll do this a little bit different this morning. So take your hands with the soft part of your palm onto your bony plate at your low back. So you can feel right here kind of where your hips are in space. Lift your right leg, knee all the way up to the chest. Press it forward. Now feel here which hip wants to pop up. Make the adjustments as necessary. Pull it in on your inhale. Press it out on the exhale. One more like that. Pull it in. Press out. Airplane. Keep your palms where they are just at first so you can feel the flat hips happening here. Now take it to full airplane. Reach back towards your heels. Little bend in your standing knee so you can lift up through your chest. Nice. Pull the pit of your belly in. Half moon. Fingertips toward a block is a great tool here to bring the ground a little bit closer. Now press through that lifted heel, so much so that it starts to lift up. The more pressure we put, yes, activate all of the muscles. One more breath. Hands down or feet down to the mat. Shake it out. Do what you need to do. Standing leg raise on the left. Place the hands in that same position on the back of the body. Lift your left leg up to your chest. On the exhale, press it forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, press it forward. Last time, lift up. Press it forward. Can you lift it another inch? Airplane. Keep the hands where they are. Feel for level hips happening here. So what's also helpful is dialing all 5 of those lifted toes down toward the floor. It's going to automatically turn that left hip down a little. Reach all the way back for full airplane. Keep all that pressing happening in your leg. Now open up to half moon. And then the more you press, the lighter it gets. Press into my hand. Nice. Take all the flexion out of your knee. One more breath. Both feet to the ground. Inhale, extended mountain at the top of your mat. Take dancer on your right. Grab for the inside of your right ankle. And you want to look for here that the soft part of your elbow is facing out toward the right side of your mat with your thumb up toward the ceiling. This is going to give your shoulder a lot more room to open. Set your drishti on one spot. It may feel better for your shoulder to take your hand on the inside of your ankle. Yes, just like that. One more breath. Dance it on over to the other side, left side dancer. So this time the soft part of your elbow is facing out toward the left side of the mat, thumb toward the ceiling. Flex your foot. Now press it up toward the ceiling like you've got some ink on the bottom of your foot and you want to stamp it up on the ceiling. Let it creep up toward the height of your head, maybe even higher. See what's there. Your body can always find new ways to surprise you. One more breath. Both feet to the mat. Inhale, extended mountain at the top of your mat. Take tree pose on your right. Let your foot land anywhere on the inside of your leg except for the inside of the knee. Everywhere else is fair game. Press your standing big toe mound into the floor. And then you can start to feel here as the wiggles and the wobbles might start to happen, how every little muscle in the foot articulating into the floor keeps us stable. Take your gaze to the ceiling or close your eyes for the last 3 breaths here. Let it get messy. Last big breath in and release your foot. Other side. Start with pressing your big toe mound of your standing foot into the floor. Allow that to be your strong foundation for this pose. And working up the body, press your lifted foot into your leg and your leg back into your lifted foot. Lift the front of your pelvis up towards your belly button. Express the arms how they want to go, something big, something bold. 3 more breaths. Close the eyes or take your gaze up, your choice. Both feet to the mat. Inhale, extended mountain at the tippy top of your mat and fold. Halfway lift, chaturanga, step or hop back. Upward facing jog, downward facing jog. Step your right foot forward, triangle pose. Take up here as much space on your mat as you humanly can. Put in and keep present a little bend in both knees. That way you can access the floor. This is the beginning of our grounding sequence. So we want to create grounding, not just as a concept, but as a lived experience. So press down and then feel in your body that rebound from the earth that you get, making everything in the top half of your body a bit lighter. Pull both sides of your body towards your ears. Side facing wide leg forward fold. Take your feet here parallel to the sides of your mat or allow your heels to be open slightly more than your toes. That little bit of pigeon toeing is going to allow the back of the body, the back of the pelvis to be open and create space for the lumbar spine. Now, if you want to take this into an inversion, or you want to take some lunges side to side, you get what you need right here. What makes this part of the practice feel like it's your practice? Stay with your breath, steady breathing in and out. Notice the pause at the top, notice the pause at the bottom. Those pauses allow us to receive the pose that we're in. Inversions, make your way down. Get complete in your movement side to side. And on an inhale, rise all the way to stand. Namaste, front facing forward fold. So feet like in our warrior one, but a slightly shorter stance. Place your hands in a bind here, or I like to just place them on my hips right away so I can feel that I've got that levelness. Hinge forward from there. And then as you start to hinge forward, you'll feel when the feet might need to move a little bit. Can you press your heels into the floor? Yeah, if that back heel feels a little bit light, take a bit of a shorter stance. Twist your triangle. Left arm down, right arm to a T or toward the ceiling. Your gaze can follow that arm up if it's comfortable for your neck. Go ahead, lift that back leg off the floor if twisting half moon is in your practice. And if you're not sure if it's in your practice, give it a try anyway. Nice. Press through. One more breath. Chaturanga on your exhale. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Big breath in. Exhale it out. Step your left foot forward, triangle pose. Take up all the space on your mat. Nice, and then this back foot is parallel to your mat, but you may actually want to take your heel out just a little bit further than your toes, yes. Keep the little bend in the knees. Reach through both sets of fingertips. Could you create more space here between your shoulder blades? Now open the chest further toward the ceiling. Peel the top arm back. Side facing wide leg forward fold. 10 toes toward the right side of your mat. Then organize your feet here so they're parallel to the sides of your mat. Take your heels out just slightly wider. Let your head drop here. If you've got the bind, allow your hands to fall forward. No need to press them forward. Get complete in your movement side to side. And on an inhale, rise all the way to stand. Namaste, front facing forward fold. You choose here if you want to bind behind your back or if you want to bring your fingertips down to the floor toward pyramid pose. In either direction, pull your shoulders up onto your back. So when we're leaning forward like this, it's not necessarily pulling your shoulders to your ears, but rather lifting them up toward the ceiling. Those of us in splits, stay lifted here. Lift the front of your pelvis up all the way through your sternum. Twist your triangle, twist your splits. Right arm down, left arm to a T or lifted to the ceiling. Lift the back leg. Press through your heels. Stay for 3, 2, and 1. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breath in together and out together. Roll yourself out to a high plank. And we'll be here for a moment, so knees down if that's where you take your high plank. Pull your belly button all the way to your spine. Nice. Now press your toe mounds down into the floor. Lift the front of your pelvis all the way up towards your sternum. One more breath. Slowly lower down all the way to your mat. Locust pose when you get there. Press your hips down. Lift up. Reach your arms back towards your heels. Now pull the front of your chin back towards your neck. Yeah, so if I were in the front of the room right now, all I would see is the tops of your heads. One more breath. Lower all the way down. Take your right cheek to the mat, feet side to side. Locust pose number 2. Press down, lift up. Option here to do something different with your arms. Take them out to the side, reach forward, keep the shoulders lifted. Nice, and then one more breath here. Fill up. Lower down to the mat. Left cheek down, windshield wiper your feet. Floor bow. Catch the outsides or insides of your ankle. We'll do 2, so if you'd rather do 1 foot at a time, take that on. Also a great place to use a strap to make your arms a bit longer. On an inhale, press your shins all the way back to the back of your mat. Allow that to be what lifts your chest here. So if you're feeling any work happening in the shoulders, let that melt. One more breath. Lower all the way down. I think this might be a little bit easier on your shoulders. So for this next one, we'll wrap it up like this, and then you can hold it. On your next inhale, lift up. Floor bow number 2. Here, I'll hold it in the back. You got it. So we're right here with the ankles. Wonderful. Yes, now press back. Squeeze the knees together. One more breath, everyone. Lower all the way down. Take your feet side to side. Camel pose. So we'll move back through a down dog. Press yourself all the way up and back. Send your hips to the back of your mat. Press your hands into the floor. Make your spine as long as possible. Now bring your knees to the mat. Stack yourself shoulders over hips, hips over knees. Hands go in your imaginary back pockets. From here, lift your chest all the way to the ceiling. What we want to look for in this pose is a lot of length from the bottom all the way to the top. If your hands would like to venture down to your ankles to take this into a larger back bend, go for it, but keep your hips here over top of your knees. So you'll press them forward. Lift all the muscles behind your belly button to support your low back. One more breath. On an inhale, rise up and out. Take downward facing dog. We'll lengthen out the spine here again. Press your hands down. Send your hips up and back as far as they can go. Camel number 2, come on down. Hands in your back pockets. Reach up for the ceiling with the center of your chest. So if you had a flashlight right here in the middle, you want to be sending the bat signal up into the sky right now. Nice. Now press the thoracic spine up and forward through the chest. So here on Josh, I'm going to place my hands right between his shoulder blades and press up and in. Can you feel that in your own body, that lift right there? One more breath. Come on up and out on your inhale. Take downward facing dog to lengthen. Full big breath in here. Exhale it out. Step through to a seat. Step or jump. We'll go to staff pose. So feet directly in front. Arms out in front of you like a mummy. We'll take a little C-shaped curve in the spine and start to lower down on your exhale. On your inhale, pause. Exhale, lower down a little bit more. On your inhale, pause. Exhale, lower down a little bit more. We're almost there. Inhale, pause. Pull it in, lower all the way down. Bridge pose, knees to the ceiling. Press your heels into the floor and lift up. This is bridge pose number 1. So you get to choose what to do with your hands here. There's an option for a bind down at your mat. I've been really enjoying cactus or goalpost arms in this pose recently. Press your shoulders down into the mat. Nice. Now press your triceps down into the mat. One more breath. Lower all the way down. Take your knees side to side. On your next inhale, rise up, bridge pose number 2. Now, if you're used to taking these hip bridges in strength classes or other modalities, there may be some squeezy glutes happening here just by default. See if you can let that go. Nice. And then all the work is coming from pressing your heels into the floor. Last breath here. Lower all the way down. Knees side to side. You've got 6 more back bends. You get to decide what to do with them. So bridge or wheel, press down, rise up, and stay for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down, breath in together and out together. Number 2, rise on up. Feet here parallel to the sides of your mat. Nice. So bring this toe in just a little bit. Yes, right there's where you want to be. Press down in your heels. One more breath. Lower all the way down. Place your feet on 12 o'clock here, hips width distance. Maybe even feel for them with your fingers. Keep them exactly where they are. Press down, rise up for number 3. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down, breath in and out. Press your feet into the mat, rise on up. Stay. Drishti on one spot, something right in front of your face. One more breath. Lower all the way down. We've got 2 more. So your choice if you want to do a long one or if you want to do 2 shorter ones. Press down, rise up on an inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay or lower down. Breath in, breath out. Rise up. Last one for 5, 4. Keep breathing. 2, 1. Lower down. Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of your feet are together. Let your knees splay out wide. You can place a hand here on your belly and one on your heart. Start to pull your breath down into your belly on every inhale. So you'll feel that bottom hand fill with belly on your inhale and then empty out on the exhale. Eyes open here, drishti still on one specific spot. Dead bug. Feet to the ceiling. Grab the outer edges of your feet, the backs of your thighs, or maybe even the front of your shins. You want to keep that bony plate at your low back on the floor. So whichever one of those grips allows that to happen. Nice adjustment. All right, here we go. Let's experience some stability. Take your feet to the ceiling. Lower your right leg halfway down to the mat. On your next exhale, switch legs. And on your next exhale, switch legs. Move with your breath. Allow your breath to not only be part of the pose, but the driver of the pose. So every time you exhale, pull the pit of your belly into your spine. Let your lowest abdominals do all the work here. Nice breath. Keep it moving. Stay for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feet to the ceiling. You can give the knees a little hug. Now send the feet back up. Exhale, lower them 30 degrees toward the floor. Another 30. Down toward the floor and hover. Lift your shoulders. Take a look at your toes. Send them all the way back up. Exhale, lower 30 degrees. 30 degrees more. Down toward the floor, flex your feet and press through your heels. Yes, send them all the way back up. Last time, lower 30. 30 more. Down toward the floor, turn your listening ears on, lift them 30. 30 more. Now hug them all the way in. You can take your knees side to side in little circles one way and then the other. Abdominal twist. Set your knees over top of your hips and go side to side, opposite elbow to opposite knee. You are in choice here as to whether or not those legs are extending side to side, what your pace is. Make it so this is sustainable. Be the strong yogi that you are, but a smart yogi. If I were to tell you we were doing this for like 4 or 5 minutes, how would you keep the pace? You got it for just another 5, 4. Keep breathing. 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees, roll like a ball back and forth all the way up to boat pose. Balancing here on your sit bones. Heels can be on the floor or lifted. Hands behind the thighs for support or lifted. Now lift your chest toward the ceiling. Pull the jawbone straight back toward the neck. How much length can you get here between your hips and the bottom of your rib cage? Nice. One more breath. Breathe in. Exhale. Wrap it up. Rock back and forth and make your way to right side half pigeon. You choose here whether this happens on your back or on your belly. For half pigeon prone, your chest toward the floor, that looks like bringing your right knee to your right wrist with the ankle headed somewhere over toward the left of your mat. We want to create this here so that your right thigh is parallel to the sides of your mat. Nice. And then the back leg extends all the way back. Just adding a little bit of support in case you'd like it. Yeah, and if you find that your hips are kind of rocking from one side or the other, for most of us in this pose, the right hip is going to be either really lifted or just kind of hanging out on the floor. So use your blocks. Add a little bit more support where you need it so you can feel that your hips are level. Keep your eyes open here. This is the part of the practice where we're like, great, we're on the floor now. And sometimes the mind tends to move out of the room and onto other things. Stay here with your breath. Use the breath as the vehicle that keeps you present because it gives you something to do, first of all. The brain loves that. And something to hear. Listen for your breath. Listen for your neighbor's breath. If you would like an extra quad stretch here, you can bend the left knee and reach back for that foot with whichever hand makes sense for you. As we're reaching back for that foot, stay lifted in the front half of your body. Pull your belly button in to support your low back. Lift from the pelvis all the way up. Gently release your foot, no slingshots. Bring it back down to the floor and switch sides. You can make your way through a down dog or just bring the leg around. I like to take the down dog for the extra hamstring stretch, but set yourself up the way that you need. So here on the left side, left knee to left wrist with your ankle moving somewhere over toward the right side of your mat. One of the keys to this pose is flexing your left ankle. That's going to keep any twisting or rotation out of the knee joint. Extend your back leg all the way out. So your knee is facing the floor. And then most of us can move that right foot a little bit closer to the center of your mat. So can you come over until you can reach my fingertips? Yes, right there. And that's just going to allow for more opening in the front of the right hip flexor. Use each exhale here to sink down. Let gravity take over. If you went for that quad stretch on the other side, go ahead and bend the left knee, or excuse me, the right knee, and reach back for your foot or ankle. Activate all the muscles behind your belly button and lift up. Nice. And then whether you're lifted or your face is to the mat here, set your drishti one spot. Release your foot slowly and press yourself up and out to a down dog, or swing your leg all the way around. We're going to go for double pigeon here. So this looks like crisscross applesauce, except for your knees and your ankles are stacked, one on top of the other. Flex your feet a lot here. It's going to help protect both knees. And then add your props where you need them. If there's a leg hanging out that needs some support, or an ankle hanging out that needs some support, place a block underneath of it. If you're looking for more here, you can fold forward Or place your Barbie hands onto your thighs and roll them out to increase the stretch. If you're staying seated and lifted here, lift all the way up. How long can you get your spine? Nice. Now pull the back of your skull all the way to the ceiling to lengthen the back of your neck. Let's take 3 more big breaths on this side. Inhale. 2 more like that. Switch sides, opposite leg on top. Notice how this leg is probably completely different than the other side. And place props where you need them. If you're finding that the knees are up a little higher than your hips, sitting on top of a block also is a really great option. Nice. Now sit up tall, take a big inhale. On your exhale, start to take that fold if that's where you're headed. I love this option too. If you're staying lifted, Sue's got her fingertips behind her to kind of press up so you can find all the length in the backside of your body. Staying lifted, we'll take 3 big breaths here. Fill up. Set your drishti to one spot. Last one in. Exhale it out. Unwind your legs. Frog pose. Frog on your back or on your belly. There's lots of wall space if you want to move to a wall to take this on. So on your belly in a prone position, this looks like chest down. And we're going to organize our body in such a way that the hips, knees, and ankles are at 90 degrees. So start at the bottom of the pose with your ankles. Flex them. If you've got something to press into, you're next to a wall, press into the wall. Now shift your vision to your knees. Knees at 90 degrees. So if you would look back at your ankles, they might be hidden by your knees because they're in one straight line. Nice. And then here, your knees, draw a straight line from one to the other and lay your hips right on that line. Those of us with our belly to the floor here, pull the pit of your belly in and up. So imagine you had this assist on yourself. I'm going to take my elbow and place it here on Lisa with my hand up towards her shoulders. You want to fill all of this space here. So you've got a nice long flat back from bottom to the top. This is a great spot, to recommit to your breath. On every exhale, see if there's somewhere else you can let go. Take your breath between your shoulders on your next inhale. And on your exhale, let any tension that might be there go. On the next exhale, can you ask your hips if they're ready to open a bit more? See what gravity has in store for you. It's amazing what our bodies can do when we get out of our brain and just say, hey, body, what is it that you can do without any preconceived stories or fixed notions about what the body's capable of? Find the pause after your inhale and the pause after your exhale. You've got 5 more breaths right here. Full breath in. And if you can't hear your neighbor's breath, sometimes they need you to be the breath warrior and to remind them that they need to breathe too. You've got about 2 more breaths here. Fill and empty. Last one, fill up. Empty out. Gently make your way out of your frog and back to your mat. We'll meet in seated single leg extension. So right leg extends out in front. Left leg comes in like tree pose. On your inhale, reach up toward the ceiling. Exhale, send the center of your chest toward your toes. Take as big of a bend in your knee as you need here so you can make a connection between your low belly and your thigh. If that bent knee would like some support, you could place your fist underneath a block, a rolled up towel. And then if you're looking for your toes, arms aren't quite there yet, use a strap. No shame in using the props. The props are there to enhance our practice. One more breath in. Exhale it out. Switch sides, left leg extended. Then see how it feels for you on this side. This leg may need a much bigger bend, or it may not need a bend at all. Send your toes to the ceiling. Feel here that it's the center of your chest reaching forward towards your toes rather than the top of your head. Yeah, so that first option just gives us a bit more length on both sides of the body, if you can feel that. You've got 3 more breaths on this side. And release your toes. Seated forward fold. Let's go wide leg first. So take your legs wide out to the sides of your mat. If you're running into your neighbor, you could turn sideways down your mat. Toes to the ceiling. Reach for your toes here or start to walk yourself forward. Feel for your sit bones to be planted on the mat. So if you're walking yourself forward here, sometimes I like to take the heels of my hands and dig them into the floor a little bit so I can feel that my sit bones are really pressing into the floor. Walk yourself up and out. Seated forward fold with the legs together. Bring the ankles together in front of you. And same thing here. On an inhale, we rise, lift up, reach up. Exhale to fold forward. Find your long forward fold spine here. So just like in the standing forward folds, gravity does what it will to pull the sides of your body down and pull your head down toward the floor. And you get this nice long spine. See if you can create that here. For most of us, that means spilling the pelvis forward just a little. So if you could imagine, your pelvis looks like a bowl. Say it's a bowl of cereal or something that you like. Go ahead and spill that forward towards your toes. Yes, just like that. You can drop your head. Release your feet. Tabletop or reverse plank. Press the soles of your feet into the floor. And then find the stretch all the way from your pelvis up to your sternum, past your chest. Maybe the head goes back. One more breath. Lower all the way down. Fish pose. Grab for your block. And we're going to place it right between our shoulder blades, lengthwise. The bottom of that block will probably land right above the bottom of your rib cage in the back. Nice. And then create the height of the block here so your hips can be heavy on the floor. A few things to notice in your body here. Take your awareness down to your low back. If you feel any sort of crowding or maybe some heat there, might be a good place for a pelvic tilt. So lift your hips 1 inch off the mat. Take your tailbone down towards your heels and then replace your hips. If you're looking for a bit more restoration. And then notice, can you swallow here? It may be an indicator that a block behind the head for a little bit of support is a good idea. If not, and then rest here. Allow your shoulders to reach the floor. If there is one yoga pose we should be doing every single day, it's fish. We do so much, our necks do so much work for us. The whole back of the body has so much pressure when we're hunched over a computer screen or our phone all day. Two more full breaths here. Breathe in. Exhale it out. One more like that. Fill up and empty. Roll to your right side to release your props or your elbows. And let's get upside down. Your choice here, how you want to get your feet in the air. So if you've got a headstand or handstand practice, take that on at the top of your mat, or feel free to go take up some wall space. Other options, shoulder stand, waterfall. Really the goal here is just to get the feet over top of your hips and hips potentially over top of your heart. Thanks for coming, Megan. Press your heels into the sky. Now stack them right over top of your hips. So our hips are really strong, lots of strong bones there. They can handle the weight of our legs up in the air a little bit better than our neck and shoulders can. So take the weight, place it in your hips by stacking your heels directly over top. Come all the way back. Yeah, even a little bit more right there. That spot where you feel a bit weightless, like you might fall over, that's the spot. Get interested in your feet here. Press them up, lift and spread your toes. Press the mound of each big toe toward the ceiling, the center of each heel toward the ceiling. Now pull in, skin to muscle to bone. Now this is a bit restorative, but it also feels like there's some work happening. All right, full inversions, another breath or two, make your way down toward a child's pose. Shoulder stands, bring your feet all the way back behind you for plow. Waterfalls, feel free to go to plow as well. If your toes touch the floor, you can let the back of your hips go. Maybe take a bind down at your mat. Press your fingertips toward the front edge of your mat. Plow to deaf yogi. Bring your knees down around your ears. Give your head a little bit of a squeeze. And take your arms out long on your mat. Roll all the way down. One vertebra at a time. Nice. Now hug your knees into center. Drop them to your right for a supine twist. Michelle and our friends at home, I'll invite you to dim your lights. And if you have something nice prepared for yourself for Shavasana, please go ahead and indulge. Create stacking in your hips here. So one hip right on top of the other. For most of us, what that's going to mean is bringing the bottom hip a little bit closer to the center of your mat. You're welcome. Breathe here through the whole left side of your body. You're welcome. Bring your knees back through center. Take them to the left. This time pulling that left hip underneath of you so it's at the center of your mat. And then stack the right hip right on top. You're welcome. Send your breath into the whole right side of your body. So much that you could almost feel the ribs on the right moving apart because there's so much breath in your lungs. Bring your knees back to center. Take your feet wide to the sides of your mat, knees all the way to the ceiling. We're going to take the left knee and roll it in toward the center of your mat. Yeah, so right here, what you should feel is a stretch all the way up the left side. If you're looking for a little more, you can take your right ankle, place it over top of the left knee, right above the knee on your thigh. Replace your right foot to the floor, knees to the ceiling. This time we'll let the right knee drop into center. Stay here, feel what you feel. And then if a little more stretch is what you'd like, place your left ankle on top, right above your knee. Bring both knees back towards center, Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of your feet come together, knees out wide. And then I want to invite you here to choose what your Shavasana is going to look like. If legs up the wall or even staying here in Supta Baddha feels like that's what you want, go for it. We'll start to set up the Shavasana here. So take your neck long on your mat. I feel that you can really lengthen it. I like to take my hands here and place them right underneath that bony occiput point and press up. Mhm. Hug your shoulders underneath of you. Get as flat as you can be on the floor. And then take your Shavasana. Legs out long, arms out long. You've all got a cold eye towel waiting for you. Feel free to take advantage of that if you haven't picked it up yet. Now let's take 2 clearing breaths here together. On an inhale, fill up through your nose and empty through your mouth. One more like that, fill up. I'll share today's journey to the heart passage titled Honor the Ending. How was your trip? A friend asked as my trip grew to a close. I thought for a moment, and then the answer came easily. It had its ups and downs, I said. There were times when I felt exhilarated and sure that I was on track. There were other days that I felt lost and confused. I'd fall into bed at night certain that this whole trip was a mistake and a waste. But I'd wake up in the morning, something would happen, and I'd see how I had been guided all along. The journey of a year is drawing to a close. Cherish the moments, all of them, even the ups and the downs. Cherish the places that you've visited, the people that you've seen. Say goodbye to those whose journeys have called them someplace else. And know that you can always call them back by thinking loving thoughts. Know that all those you love will be there for you when you need them the most. Honor the lessons you've learned. Honor the people who helped you learn them. Honor your journey and what your soul has mapped out for you. Trust all the places you've been. Make a scrapbook in your heart to help you remember. For a moment, look back and reflect in peace. Then let this year draw to a close. All the parts of this journey are sacred and holy, and you've learned that by now. Take time to honor this ending, though it's never really the end. When you go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow morning, a new adventure will begin. Remember the words you were told when this last adventure began, the words whispered quietly to your heart. Let the journey unfold. Let it be magical. The way has been prepared. People will be expecting you. And yes, you are being led. Take a moment here to reflect back on that intention you thought of at the beginning of class, that thing that you're a yes for. Claim that as yours. Claim it to be what is now. Begin to deepen your breath. Lengthen your inhale and your exhale and the space in between. Bring some movement to your fingers and your toes, your wrists and your ankles. Bend your knees and your elbows. And work your way toward a full body stretch. Fingers in one direction, toes in the other. Now squeeze it all into center. Bring your knees to your chest, maybe to your forehead, and rock over to your right side for infant's pose. You've claimed your intention as true as so, and your last bit of work is just to act as if. Send yourself some gratitude for showing up, doing the work. Making it here is the hardest part. Send some gratitude out to the yogis around you in the studio, at home, who came and showed up to do the work with you. And lastly, here, send a bit of gratitude to that yogi who may not be in this room. Who started your yoga practice? Who was the first person to suggest you come here? Press your left hand into the floor to rise to a comfortable seat, eyes closed or drishti settled right in front of your nose. On an inhale, we reach for the ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart center. And we'll end with 3 ohms together. Breath in. Thumb knuckles to third eye center. We bow and acknowledge each other. Thank you, each of you, for showing up and doing so authentically so the rest of us could do the same. Namaste. Yogis, give yourselves a round of applause. Great practice. Questions, comments, feedback, I am here for it. Again, if you're interested in hearing more about the workshops that we have coming up, there is also a breathwork and a meditation workshop happening later in the month. They're all 2 hours. So not only are you going to get a chance to learn a bunch of things, but you'll get to try a bunch of things and hopefully take some new tools home with you to take into the new year with you. See you all shortly. And if you borrowed a mat, leave it where it is. If you borrowed props, just leave them on the floor up here so I know which ones need to be wiped down. Thank you, Michelle and our online yogis, for joining us. Have a great New Year's.